Yeah, we might have to be a little shorter because I know you got to leave at like 1:05 or something. Well, good day, folks. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist. I'm coming to you from the podcast layer. I am joined by a couple of young guys. I'm guessing probably you're young enough that either one of you could be my kid. I'm an old man in this world. Though I don't know your mom, so I don't think it's very likely. And you both have good hair, so, I'm thinking probably I'm not your dad. Nonetheless, these guys, they caught my attention a few months back because they're speaking up. They're speaking about current events. They're speaking about their beliefs. And they've got, well, part of it's a podcast and a lot of it's just on it, mostly Instagram, called Latino Free Minds. I am joined by Daniel Reyes and Gio Ramirez.
Yep.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah. And you can tell I'm not always serious.
That was a good intro.
That was awesome. Yeah.
So why'd you guys jump into the fray?
Well, we jumped in 2022, and it was just, first and foremost, we were kind of tired of seeing people be manipulated into thinking a certain way. I think a lot for Latinos is you're Latino, so you gotta check these boxes. Your
skin color tells you what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, pretty much. And it applies to Latinos because even nowadays, when we post things, say things, it always comes back to somehow, you're Mexican. Why are you saying this? Look at you. Tienes el nopal en la frente. Like, just vendido. Just Malinche, yeah. Just because we don't think like how I guess we're supposed to think. So we kind of got tired of that. COVID kind of helped accelerate that, I guess. And then
COVID woke you up.
COVID woke us up, and in a sense, we felt like, all right, well, not a lot of people are talking about certain things from the perspective, that we have. So we kind of said, let's go for it.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't so much COVID waking me up. It was more COVID upset me a lot more than I was before, because I had subscribed to a certain viewpoint, a certain political party, but I didn't really talk about it until all of the things happened during COVID. You're watching things on TikTok and YouTube and the news, if you're watching the news anymore. But it was probably the 2020 election that really set me off. But I was so afraid to talk about it because of the industry that I work in. I work in technology, and I would always watch Latino Free Minds when they started it.
So you guys knew each other?
We knew each other. I was talking to Daniel before he started, and I almost told him, hey, I want to do that with you. But I was afraid to get some pushback at work. And it got to a point where it was like, you know what? I can't hold back anymore. I'm just going to go on. I'm going to go on with you guys once or twice. And Daniel would text me hey, you gonna tap in or what?
So it was bubbling over.
Yeah. So I would tune in, and one day Daniel calls me. He's like, hey, so I started this secondary podcast. It's part of Latino Free Minds, but it's kind of like it's kind of, you're free to talk the way you want to talk and say the words you want to say. It's called Don't Mind Us. And you're kind of free to curse if you need to curse. And I was like, all right, I'll try it out. And I went on once with my co-host now, Christian, and Daniel hits us up afterwards, and he's like, dude, that was awesome. the chemistry was perfect. You guys just like hit off really well off each other. But every once in a while, Daniel will text like, "Hey, you guys are so and so's watching. You gotta you gotta tune it back a little bit." Yeah. So he also messaged us a few weeks ago, and he goes, "Hey, we've all been building this Latino Free Minds thing,
Right.
And you guys are going by DMU, and it's like the movement, all the clips, we're all doing it together. So we should just combine and stop doing this DMU thing and just do Latino Free Minds twice a week." And I was like, I like that idea. I actually really like that idea. And I'll be honest, the Latino Free Minds name 2 years ago, I was like, I don't know about that name. It sounds kind of conspiracy like.
No, man, it's awesome.
And then like the more I get into it, the more I love it. I really love it, especially now that I wear the shirt all the time. I love the name. Yeah. So, yeah.
So if people were just curious, where would they find you?
We're on Instagram at Latino Free Minds, YouTube, X. Yeah, you can follow us on X. I can't figure that one out, but X. What else? Facebook.
Everywhere. I mean, we're trying to get back onto Rumble. We didn't get kicked off. It was just a matter of the amount of streams that we can have at once. Because when we go live, we like to push out on all the streams. And we had some larger accounts, friends that were like, "Hey, can you just stream on my account?" And that was great. But it's like, let's build our own thing.
Yeah.
So we've updated our studio to bring some of those things back. And one of the things that we're fighting with right now is trying to get live on TikTok, because there's a lot of younger people there, a lot younger than us, but we just can't figure out the studio situation. It's like we have to air it after the fact. And it wouldn't be so difficult if we were all in one place like this, but because we are spread over California, it makes it really difficult because we have to pull everything into our online studio and then stream it out from there. And TikTok's not really friendly with those stream keys.
So, yeah.
Come on, TikTok.
But yeah, we're everywhere.
So you're everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. If you had a magic wand, what would be the top 3 things you do to try to fix California? Where do you see the problems?
Man, that's a good question. Top 3 things. Well,
I get there's a longer list than that.
yeah.
But like, where would you start?
I would honestly start in voter integrity.
Okay, we got a great opportunity, and I know you've talked about this one, so tell us about it.
Because, I think Carl DeMaio and them, they're doing the Reform California
You guys have signed?
voter initiative. Yeah.
Okay,
We've
because
signed.
I was going to go get that when we were done otherwise.
We signed. And, we think it's important. From day one, we've always talked about the elections here in California. The Democrats will say there's no election fraud. And, we always counter with, well, if you don't look for it, you're not going to find any.
Right.
And, we got to be realistic. When you go vote, nobody checks your ID. They don't verify if you are who you're saying that you are. All they'll do is say, what's your name? What's your address? And that's it. Anybody can know your name and address and go vote as you.
And they can't even question it if it's a guy's name. Say it's an Asian guy and a black woman shows up, they still can't question it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's how are we supposed to trust a system that has no way of being verified in the moment? And voting, it's a huge part of where we are today, because we've had Democrat majorities for decades now.
We're about 20 years where it's a super majority in both the House and Senate.
And my whole
Senate
life,
Assembly.
I'm born and raised in California, and it's gotten worse. And nothing, to me, I feel like nothing's improved my entire life here in California.
Well,
And a majority of that time, it's been run by Democrats. And I think part of the reason is because we don't verify who votes. So anybody can go vote. And I think that's one of the things that I would work on fixing right away. I don't know.
No, I think that is the number one thing. It's voter integrity. And I know it's such a racist thing to say is having voter ID.
You guys are able to get your IDs, no problem.
It was really hard. I had to actually go to the DMV.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I had to shower and bleach the day before I went, so then they gave it to me. I barely, just by a little shade, I barely made it.
They wouldn't even let me smile for the photo. You know, extremely racist.
But yeah, we got him.
No, I think the second for my wish is voter knowledge, people being informed. There's a lot of times where we'll get in the comments or people will say in person like, hey, what you guys are doing is wrong, and we start talking to them and they're like, well, I guess you aren't so bad. Like, I didn't know it was like that. And it's like, well, these are the things we talk about.
You remove the party label and you start talking about issues.
Yeah.
People want a safe community where they can have a job that's allows them to at least have a reasonable life.
Mm-hmm.
And government policy makes a difference in that. But we pretty much agree.
Yeah.
Like, you want your kids to get a good education. You want an opportunity for the next generation. You want to have a reasonable life. That's not a right or a left thing.
No.
Yeah.
That should be something everybody wants or should strive for. And, the second thing would be what you just said, the education system. Because we're ranked towards the bottom,
Yeah.
And like Gio said, it's like these kids are growing up, they're uninformed, and they're voting for feelings, what sounds nice. That's why the guy in New York wins, because, you tell a bunch of kids they're going to get XYZ for free. You put me in their shoes when I was 18 and you told me I was going to get all that stuff for free, I'd probably vote that way too.
No.
Because it's where you're young, impressionable. So, getting a good person in there for the education system, revamping that whole thing, I think is important, because we're at the bottom. I did a little clip this morning. It wasn't a serious one. It was just kind of like a random one. But I was driving and it was raining, and I just see a bunch of kids walking to their bus stop or to their school. Not one has an umbrella or a jacket. And it's like, we're one of the lowest ranked school education systems. I don't know if there's a correlation there, or I don't know what's up with the parents not telling their kids, like, hey, get an umbrella, take a jacket. Yeah. But I just see kids just getting soaked walking to school. It's like, these kids are going to get sick.
Yeah.
Like, again, I don't know. I just feel like there's something wrong.
Fresno Unified is one of the worst in the nation. Up till about 4 years ago, they were in the bottom 3. Their solution, how they fixed this, is they stopped participating in the survey that would let people know that they're in the bottom 3.
That usually takes you up, right?
Yeah.
It's one way to do it.
And I don't mean bottom 3%. I mean they were better than 2 school districts.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
Now we don't know quite where they are, but they're graduating people that they're nowhere near reading level, but they can't tell you, is that a 4th grade reading level? Is that a 6th grade? Is that a 10th grade? Education is not taking that data, and education is all about data.
Yeah.
Which means they don't want to know.
Well, wasn't San Francisco, I forget where it was, where they lowered the whole grading standard. So like a 70% was an A. And, you could go all the way down. You'd have to get like a 20% to get an F. That's like, what, did you show up?
Pretty much.
Right?
Yeah, you put your name on the paper.
They got backlash from people, but the fact that people in charge of education system even said this is a good idea to present publicly is crazy.
It's because they don't care about the education part. They care about not hurting anybody's feelings. Looking at everybody by their skin color and going, well, because of your skin color or your sexual orientation, well, somehow you have these strikes against you.
Yeah.
And so we got to make up for those strikes. Does that really help them? No. Because if they grow up and they've got a 4th grade reading level, guess what? The inmates that are in the county jail here in Fresno County, they have an average of a 4th grade reading level. Did you know that?
It's crazy.
So if you graduate with the 4th grade reading level, you got kind of 3 options. You're doing basic labor, you're on welfare of some sort, or you're a criminal, or maybe a combination. We got to do better than that.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And you know, you brought up the race thing with education. You know, I have a son, 14 years old, and he goes to school in the Clovis Unified School District. One of the big rumors when we were living in Fresno is that the Clovis Unified School District is racist. You know, be careful when you send your kids there.
I heard that when I moved to Fresno. I heard Clovis was like a hub for the KKK.
Yeah. Oh no, I heard that too. I heard that too.
Sorry, I heard that too.
So I had been nervous with him going to school, and I asked him. Well, when we first moved out here, I wasn't going to ask a third grader like, "Hey, well, you know, what's going on?" But now that he's a little bit older, and the kids can, you kind of realize what's going on. And I remember when kids started talking about certain things. So I asked him, "Hey, do you ever hear like any racist things towards you or anybody else?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, like, do they call you things like wetback, spick? Can I say that? Can I say it?
Go
do
for
they
it.
call you things like wetback, spick?
No comprende.
Do they think that maybe you're something else and call you a Dune C O something else? Do they call you things? And he's like, what is that? What does that even mean? Mm-hmm. I've never heard that. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, never mind.
Just kidding.
Those are things that I heard, and where I grew up, there wasn't a lot of white people. It was diverse, Vietnamese, Hispanic, Black. There's not a lot of white people, and I remember hearing a lot of those words towards me or towards other people, but he doesn't hear that, and I'm like, is that because because it's just the poverty level is different where we are now, or is it because that has started to fade away and there's other things that these kids have to deal with? And I think part of that is they have to deal with different things like the rainbow type issues,
Right.
But it's I think with education it's a lot less of having to deal with those things, maybe here.
Well, Clovis Unified is thought of as being predominantly white, but guess what? It's not.
It's really not. I see the kids walking out there. It's not.
It is a huge percent Hispanic, and then there's a lot of Hmongs, there's a lot of East Indians, and a smattering of other things.
Yeah,
But those would be the big four groups.
I do think when I drive past the schools, there are more white than in Fresno, but not when you compare it to other schools. Because I've lived all over California. I grew up in Sacramento. I've lived in Los Angeles, and compared to over there, it's not very different. But when you compare it to schools in Fresno, there's a lot more Hispanic in Fresno, just visually. But I think it's all rumor. I haven't run into the KKK hub out here in Clovis, hoping not to.
There are a few. I have run into a couple because they see me as a conservative white guy, so they see I might be something.
That guy's cool.
Well,
if you
they
see me out there,
like
give me a little wink.
And then there's been a couple of them that have kind of tried to recruit me. But you notice I went out of my way while going to because we met at a Republican National Hispanic Assembly meeting. Mm-hmm. So we met there. I go out of my way because I care about people's ideas.
Yeah,
that's what matters most.
Plus, you guys are responsible for the taco, and is the most perfect food there ever was.
You're welcome.
I had no part in that.
Take the credit, you're welcome.
I'll take the credit. Yeah.
And I think to finish answering the question, the third thing would be taxes. Okay. I can curse about taxes, but I think, we're overtaxed. We pay taxes, fees on everything. And again, like I said before, with all the money that we put into the state, it's not getting better. The roads suck. Our schools suck. We get property taxes are supposed to go to schools, I think. Again, they suck. We were paying property taxes during COVID and not one school was open. We get taxed on our income. On what we buy.
But Gavin Newsom was feeding all the kids. Did you see what he was feeding all the kids? Pop-Tarts and burritos, just carving them up.
I mean, if you're a kid, that's a great meal. But, you know,
I want to add on to that. And for me, it's not just taxes. It has to do with all the money, right? For me, it's how the money is spent. You know, when we look at the federal level, we created the new department, DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. I would love to see such a thing here in California.
It's here. It's quietly being done. I can't say more than that. I know some inside information that they're not ready to go public with because they know there will be pushback. So they're trying to get as much of the information first. It's coming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm actually gonna release a clip today, but you know, Newsom's chief of staff, she got a bunch of charges for
corruption charges,
for corruption and fraud. I think Xavier Becerra's, I forget what it is to him, another aide. Same kind of charges. You got Rob Bonta that was found to have over $500,000 from his campaign money he's setting aside for personal, attorney fees. So the guy that's supposed to prosecute corruption in our state is doing.
So Rob Bonta's the state attorney general.
Yes. So you know you got those people dealing with money, right? I don't know where you know the 23 charges that Newsom's chief of staff got. It's like I'm sure some of that was tax money.
Yeah,
more than likely. So you know, we talk about the 24 billion in homelessness that's been spent.
It's more than that now. It's more than like 30.
And what's going on with we got
more tents. We got a bigger problem.
More homeless people. We're going the other way and they're spending more money. So yeah, to Gio's point, it's like how is that money being spent? Where is it being spent? Where is it going? Because the results aren't adding up. It's like if you know, as a consumer, right? If you're buying a product and each time you buy that product, it just gets more and more expensive. But at the same time, the product gets worse.
Yeah.
That's what's happening in California. It's getting more and more expensive, and it's just getting even worse as it goes.
I know a lot of people will hate me for saying this, but for me, if we could make a deal with the government here in California to say
that's a deal with the devil.
It is a deal with the devil. But if they came to us and said, "Hey, we'll stop raising your taxes," but you got to continue to pay as high taxes as you are, but instead of charging you more taxes, we're going to go and investigate all the fraud and we're going to eliminate that so that the money gets spent better. I'd be like, all right, I'll keep paying my taxes if you can promise me that you're going to stop stealing my money.
I'm afraid you're going to be like Lucy. You're going to be Charlie Brown. Lucy's going to pull that football.
Yeah, in 10 years, you're going to be like, wait, you guys spent $50 billion on finding this?
Yeah.
And you found nothing? Same spot.
The bottom line is we have to elect different people.
Yeah, we do.
So for me, I think my third, I agree with your first two, but my third would actually be making people accountable. So dealing with crime. Because you can't have a very successful economy. I've lived in poor areas. I live in a pretty nice area now. Growing up, you know, South Fresno, there were a lot of gangs. I was the only white kid. I had to run fast and be quiet, which was not my temperament. Nonetheless, if you don't deal with crime, you can't people don't feel good going to the store. They're always watching their back. It's just different. That's part of why Clovis is so successful, because we deal with crime. We try to put some consequences into, you know, bad actions. Petty theft, a Clovis cop will show up. If you live in Fresno,
maybe not. Yeah.
Probably not. Not just maybe not. Probably not, because Fresno's overwhelmed dealing with homicides and stabbings and homeless going crazy and screaming at people and attacking people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Clovis, watch. Next time you see somebody pulled over, how often is it only one cop?
It's never only one patrol unit.
Usually it's more than one.
It's usually 2, 3. Yeah, I'm always like, what's going on over there? It must be a drug stop. There's so many cars there. and it's true when you compare it to Fresno. I mean, when I lived in Fresno, My house was broken into. I was in Disneyland. I drove back. The police still hadn't shown up.
Dang.
They didn't show up till the next day.
Uh-huh.
In Clovis, we left the house and our dog was barking and the neighbors were having a party. The police showed up, like, their party was still going on. The cop was like, hey, really sorry. You just got to get your dog to be quiet. You know how it is. This is Clovis. And I'm like, no, we just moved here. But yeah, I mean, they'll show up for little things. It's like you said, if for petty theft, they're there.
Well, because they want it known that if you do something wrong, they're there to do what consequences they can.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, the state has gotten rid of a lot of consequences.
Yeah, that's a huge part of the problem. But also, the voters did vote Prop 36 in.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's up to talk about money, up to the governor and all that to fund it. And he hasn't. What'd he do? He funded a special election so that he could get more power.
A special election that up until the last minute, he said, if Texas doesn't do this, I'm not going to. And at the last minute, that he took out that part in the bill?
Yeah. So now that right now in the courts, Texas can't do it.
We'll see what happens. It's
I
still
doubt,
early
I
in
doubt
the
Newsom's going to be like, okay, never mind, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. But yeah, he has that in there. And, people voted for something and he's completely disregarded it. And it has to do with what you're talking about, public safety. I mean, the good thing is people aren't going crazy anymore with the smash and grabs as they were, last year. But still, you have to fund it so that, there is more cops. So maybe Fresno isn't as bad, worse than Clovis. So,
well, Clovis just passed a 1 cent sales tax, Measure Y. And I'm on the Measure Y committee that's about mostly police and fire. Unfortunately, they passed it as a general obligation as opposed to a specific one. So that means that we need a watchdog committee to stop them from spending the money on whatever they want.
yeah.
But 1% to our sales tax took us from basically 9 to basically 10. There's a fraction in there, but we're going to go with basically. And it has allowed a bunch of new officers, new infrastructure. So Clovis will be even safer than it was.
I think if people paid taxes, right, even if they had to pay a little more, but they actually got the results, kind of like we were talking about, people wouldn't mind.
Right.
But right now it's like taxes just, we're paying all these taxes and
I mind.
now, yeah.
I just finished saying I don't want him to go up anymore.
I was saying though, if okay, you're getting taxed, X percent, 1% more, but for sure your city is safer, you got more cops, it's running how it's supposed to run, then maybe you don't
feel bad about it.
You don't feel bad about it because it's actually going to the thing.
But we got no results in so many ways.
And it has to be proven because these types of things happen all the time. Case in point, the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. You do this thing that makes people feel really good. Like, oh, yeah, we're all going to have medical insurance. Oh, so amazing. But the reality is you just basically get the same thing that everybody else gets, but it costs you more. It costs you more because for like a single white male, your insurance might cost you, I think when I looked into the numbers, it was like $400, $500 a month.
Not when you're old like me.
Somebody in their 30s. Somebody in their 30s. Not in their 40s, in their 30s.
Well, thank you for thinking 40s. Nonetheless, it's way more than that. It gets worse.
But on the Affordable Care Act, for the same premium, you're paying like $800. So you're paying way more. How does that make any sense? Why call that Affordable Care Act?
Actually, to make a correction from earlier, it wasn't COVID that woke me up. It was actually that. It was Obamacare.
It was Obamacare?
Because they sold it as the health insurance is going to be affordable. And then next thing you knew, if you didn't have health insurance, you were getting fined for not having it. And it's like, wait, what? That is what woke me up when it came to the manipulation and the wordplay that the Democrats use is we're going to give you affordable health care. And, you know, as, again, a young person, you think,
But
yeah, cool.
that's the time when you're the least likely to need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his first
So
dose,
for young
dose of red
for
pill.
young people,
Yeah, that was my first red pill, right? there.
right? It
Thanks,
actually
Obama.
costs more.
Yeah.
Well, he always had your back, right?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Or at least your money.
My bag.
Yeah.
Get out of my
Back
wallet.
pocket.
Yeah. So, you know, that to me was, as a young person, again, affordable healthcare sounded good. It sounds like a nice idea, but then you fine everybody for not having it through their taxes. It's like,
Except that
okay.
you realize that the majority of people pay almost nothing in taxes. Now, they still pay sales tax.
Mhm.
They still pay fines and fees and things like that. But as far as income tax, the majority of the people pay almost nothing. You're doing fairly well if you're paying a significant amount. Now, there's still payroll tax, which is supposedly going to Social Security, which they've already swindled. So you can't get out of that part, and they do deduct from your check, but it's like you gave them a loan, and most young people, unless they're doing pretty well, they're getting money back at the end of the year. It's pretty much a wash. You're not paying a whole lot, unless you're doing really well. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah. No, I always owe money. So does Gio, I think.
I don't owe money, and that's only because I pay.
Because he
I
got
pay
a
more.
Tesla. He's got credits and shit.
No, I pay more towards it. I can't remember what it's called. Where you go to your payroll department and tell them, "Hey, you know how much you take out? You're gonna need to take out more because
you don't want to come up with a big check at the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't need the government coming at me for money.
It's a good idea.
Well,
So
except that you're loaning them that money all that time. I know it makes your
I
life
don't get
easier.
I don't get a lot back. I try to. I talk with my tax guy, and we make sure to get that number about as right as we can.
See, I save it, and they get it the last minute.
Yeah. Me too.
Because I can make, even if I make 50 cents, that's my 50 cents that the government isn't able to waste.
No, I feel you. I wouldn't give, if it was up to me, I wouldn't give the government any money, but yeah.
Well, we got to have some government.
Yeah.
We just need a government that's responsive.
Responsive, responsible, transparent with where your money's actually going.
I
Again, if
agree
people
with Eric.
knew,
we do need a government. We have a new ad for our merch and or for our shirts. And one of the things I told the guy making it, I was like, hey, can you put a little thing on there that says, because the shirts are oversized. Can you put on there that they're oversized like our government? So
yeah, I mean, you know, again, hopefully in the near future, you know, we got a big election coming up here in California in 2026. So we got primaries, I think, in June.
Yes.
So we'll see who ends up being the candidates for, you know, all the races. And like you said, start voting better people in. I think that's kind of what we've been trying to do on Latino Free Minds. So we do the Know Your Candidate series where we interview as many candidates as we can, not just local, like, you know, here in our, where we live, but throughout the whole state, because the more informed people are, the voter is on the actual candidate, you know, the better, and they get to hear directly from them. So, you know, I think you said you've interviewed some candidates as well. I think that's good for people to, you know, have different avenues other than just the ad you see on TV that says, hey, this guy's bad.
Or good.
Or
but
good.
mostly bad.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely exposure. And for me, the thing that really aggravates me is when people tell us, you know, why am I going to go out and vote? My vote doesn't even count. And it's like,
We hear that a lot.
oh my
Yeah,
God,
I hear
you're
that
so
a lot.
Stupid. You know, I learned from David Tongipa when he was talking about
Yeah.
the Bakersfield election.
I know David pretty well. I've interviewed him several times. He is one
He's
of the...
awesome.
Yes.
Yeah,
He's a
great.
real fighter here in California. You want to know somebody that's kicking butt out there and taking names? It's David Tongipa. He's got a big future ahead of him if he continues the way
Let's
he's
hope.
rolling.
Yeah.
I hope, right? I mean, he is Republican in California. That's tough as it is. But down in Bakersfield, the Senate race was lost by 3 votes. I mean, when you think that your vote doesn't count, that's you and a couple
That's
friends.
David Shepard. That was the David Shepard race
Yeah.
That's crazy.
that eventually Vince Fong ended up in.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Even with Prop 50, I think I haven't looked at the final numbers, but I think Fresno County was like 100 or so off from yes and no, and it's like, I mean,
But that's normal.
that's
Every
crazy.
county is normally, they can't reconcile
Mhm.
the number of votes.
Yeah,
Everything should line right up.
Yeah.
This is the number of people that voted, and we have some counties that have more potential voters than
no,
they
we
have
have-
registered voters. We have all kinds of crazy
Yeah.
things when you don't have
No,
election integrity.
We talked to I don't know if you've heard Shiloh Marks or if you've
Yeah,
talked to him.
I follow him.
You know, and he's kind of telling us about the what is it, inactive voters, how the margin of victory somehow seemed to be the same number of inactive voters,
Right.
and it's like, it's, I don't know, maybe it's a coincidence, but
So inactive voters, that would be somebody that has not voted in 2 federal elections.
consecutive.
Now that's not 2 presidential, which
Mhm.
would be 8 years. It's 6 years, but we have lots of inactive voters in this county.
Mm-hmm.
I just was with our register of voter about a month ago. We have some that have not voted in 10 years, but they still have not been removed from the rolls.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you know that person's name and address, you go vote for that person.
Right. And
next
you can
time around.
and you can look it up on the website as to whether they voted.
Mm-hmm.
So you go, oh,
Oh yeah, he did find some people that
you can look it up.
that told him were inactive, and he found that they voted.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what's going on, because I know there's lawsuits. DOJ is getting involved with the Prop 50 lawsuit that Tongipa and his group have. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I will. I
California.
need to introduce you to a couple other election integrity people.
Yeah, yeah.
EIP, Election Integrity Project California.
Okay.
So that's Ruth Wise and can't remember the other guy. Linda Payne,
Okay.
or Dr. Douglas Frank, or Urson Russell.
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
If
that'd be
you're
nice.
interested, I'll share numbers with
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. Yeah, we're interested.
Why are you hopeful? Because I mean, how many people are out there? They're going, "There's no point. I don't need to vote. I'm just going to live my life and let somebody else decide." So why would you try to take this on?
For
a good
me,
question. Go ahead,
for
go
me, I know that politics swings, and California is due to have a swing. And when I look at the numbers, since I started voting in the other direction, for me it was 2016 with Donald Trump. That's when I really started to pay attention, because I tuned into the Republican debate as like, this is going to be great. Donald Trump is going to be hilarious. What a clown. And then I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. His immigration stuff is really good. He's actually right, guys. Hey, guys, he knows what he's talking about. So it's when I started to pay attention. For me, what was the question again? I want to make sure.
Why are you hopeful?
For me, it's I know we're due. California is slowly voting more Republican or more conservatively, at least at the presidential level. So
Right.
every 4 years. Doesn't make sense that it swings way the other way in between.
Well, a lot of people show up.
A lot of people do show up.
Trump brings people that are
Mm-hmm.
not the people that vote all the time. They're the people that vote occasionally. He brings those people out. It's like he gives them hope.
Well,
Guess what? He fights for his values.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps his promises.
Yeah.
That's something that politicians don't typically do.
Well,
Yeah.
we need somebody here in California to do that, but I do see it slowly moving more conservative, especially when you talk to people, and I don't think that's just because I live in Fresno County. The other thing that makes me hopeful is seeing my kids. Not that my kids are political. I don't raise them to be into politics. I don't talk about this with them because I don't think they should be. I
Talk
don't,
about your Christian values at least, though.
yeah, there's different things that I talk to them about. It's not politics. So, but I do want them to have a better California. we always point out like, oh yeah, California was great when we were growing up. I want it to be even better than that. So that's what gives me the energy and the push to do this.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that I agree with that, and just we're here too. It's our state too, and I think there's a lot of things behind the scenes that aren't truthful, that aren't happening the way that they're supposed to be happening, kind of like with voting and all that. And I'm hopeful because we've said it on the podcast many times, with time, the truth is revealed. And I believe that with California, the way we're living right now, and the politicians that we have in place, that we've had in place, they live through, they rule through lies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people like us, like you, and other people that are doing this we're talking about the truth, and more people are hearing it now than they ever have in the past. So we're hopeful because maybe because we're Christians too, and it's not in us to not put up a fight, not to
defend our values.
It's not in us to move to Texas.
Yeah, it's easy to just get up and leave, but
if you don't fix the problem,
if you don't, it's like Nancy Pelosi's retiring, but Scott Wiener's gonna go for her seat. So now that's gonna follow you wherever you went. You got Scott Wiener,
right? And he's worse than Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, I don't know if people know this, because people might think nobody can be worse than Nancy Pelosi.
No,
Scott Wiener.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's coming.
You better go look him up and see what he's been pushing through.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, we're down to just a few minutes, less than, say, 30 seconds each. If you have a final thought.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. For me, it's I want to have people get up and go vote, unlike they were doing before. Mm-hmm. Vote your reality in the next election, next year midterms. Especially because we have a governor, right? We're going to be voting in a governor. Hopefully we get something a lot better than what we have now. Aside from that, we hope that you follow us on Latino Free Minds, at Latino Free Minds on Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere else.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I just want people to be better informed. I want people to not fall for the out of context clips anymore, to always look into both sides before making a decision, and don't let anyone cloud your judgment, your ability to think. Don't we all have our preferences, yes, but at the end of the day, it's up to each and every one of us to make our own decisions on what we feel is best for ourselves, our family, our state, and our country.
Well, I am thrilled that both your minds got freed. Notice I never told you what to think. I just went, okay, hey.
Yeah.
Because skin color shouldn't matter.
It doesn't.
Culture matters. Mm-hmm. That was my joke about the taco. And my favorite thing. Favorite food.
You're welcome.
Nonetheless.
I'm still take credit for it.
Well, folks, check out the Latino Free Minds. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist. I hope you have a great day. Stand for freedom.
Clear.
That was fun.
Cool.
Dude, this was awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
Very impressed by everything.
Yeah.
No, I'm lucky I ended up here.
Nice.
Where God was watching out, and that's how it worked out. Because I got invited on. I mean, I'd been on TV, done little clips for dog training. I taught yoga for years as a hobby, so I talked about that on TV or radio. I talked about when I was in Future Farmers